Ready to get out the gate. Okay, so from a male perspective, what are your thoughts, Jabril, on dating a woman who is highly successful and independent? And did you find it intimidating or appealing, and why when you were dating?
All right, when I was dating, thanks.
Yes, when you were dating. Well, you still got to date your wife, obviously. So
True. Did I find that intimidating?
dating a single successful woman, did you say find it challenging? Did you find it appealing?
Challenging and appealing. I mean, it's nice. I mean, that person, you can elevate each other, compliment each other. So I think it's a great thing. I mean, people that you feel that you have something over, you're more in a control position. You don't really respect them as much. In my case, and I can speak for a lot of men. So it's not really it's the challenge that you need, and it's not going to help you grow, and you're not going to help that person. If anything, you're going to make them feel diminished with their worth, and I mean, it's just not a good place for anyone to be. So I do think that people should work with people on a level that they're on, and where they aspire to be with like-minded. And then definitely have a friendship first. The friendship helps, because when you have the friendship, you have the communication. And with the communication, even if things are going wrong or not the way you want on that particular day, you can work or feed off of a toolbox of forgiveness toolbox, because there's certain things that you know that person likes or even loves, and you can use that as a love language, understanding their love language, and warm things back and get the connection. Right? So definitely you want somebody that you're on that similar level. I think that's the best way. Anything else, I feel you're just playing around.
I can concur with that. So for the ladies, if anybody wants to answer, what challenges have you faced or had faced if you're married or with someone now, when it comes to balancing your strength and independence with trying to date someone? And have you had any pushback regarding that for potential partners, it is?
This is Coach Rosie. Hi, everyone.
Hey, Coach.
Hey, you guys. Hey. I think from a marriage standpoint, certainly trying to balance your own independence when you're married is a little bit difficult, right? Because the two now have become one. And so when you're single, I think it's much easier to claim your independence. But when you sort of made a vow to someone through thick and thin and all that good stuff, it's a little bit more difficult to say, well, I'm going to do things like this, right? So there has to be much more of a conversation around the things that you desire to do. And it's coming from, I guess, the core of family, right? So you have to look at, the family as a whole, considering everyone else's, or your spouse, I should say. But, for me, it's even having children, right? So you got to consider a whole lot more when you're talking about your independence versus having independence, but yet not being independent. So it's sort of like, two-edged sword in a way where, you have to have those conversations. I want to do this. I desire to do this. Hopefully you have a partner who understands you, who communicates well, who understands your dreams and visions and all of that stuff. Because if not, I think it causes a lot of confusion, and certainly where confusion is, God is not. And so for me, working out all of those things that I desire to do, and then having a spouse, having to talk to him about those things. I mean, there are times that, man, I wish I say to myself, and I'm saying out loud now, that, it's hard to being married, right? Like you got to go through all of these channels to finally come to an agreement to spend more money, to spend more time away from home, to go to events, to travel, to do all of these things. So when you have that other person saying, oh no, we can't do that now. And you're like, but we got to do this now. Like, if I don't do it now, then when do we do it? Right? We've already waited, So it becomes very, very difficult. And sometimes I think like, man, it would have been easier if I was, single because I only had to think about me. But that's not the way marriage works, of course. And so I have to kind of ring my thoughts back in because when those tough conversations come, remembering that no matter who makes the most money, that doesn't matter. It's just money for the family, right? So it's not, sometimes you might think about that, like, well, I'm the one making all the money, or, those kind of thoughts may come. But you have to ring that in, and it's all for the good of the family as a whole. And I think sometimes that independence forces you to sometimes make decisions that your spouse may not, or your partner may not agree with, right? But you think that it's for the good, because not everyone is going to also see your vision. And know what your dream is. And so at some point you have to make a decision sometimes that, well, you know what, I'm going to override what my husband is saying this time, but Lord, please help us to, get back on track after this, right? And also let it work, right? Like, Lord, please let it work, because if it doesn't work, then that causes a lot more conflict within a relationship. So, but it's one of those things, it's not really, life is not balanced. I don't care how much we try to balance it. Life is just not balanced. Relationships are not necessarily balanced. Somebody is going to have to sort of submit or, concede in some way so that there's peace. But that doesn't mean that there was a balance there. It just means that one of us decided that we were going to give in some way that time for that moment. And, but I think even in the imbalance, we can find still a really good relationship, so.
Thanks for sharing that. And it made me think about something that you just said, Coach Rosie. So I kind of I know some have been married before previous. And I know it's some very independent women on the call. When you said something, Coach Rosie, about it doesn't matter who makes the most money, I'm assuming that you're also saying that the roles could be reversed and the woman could be the quote unquote breadwinner. When you know that you make the most, because it was easy when you said that, and I've heard that before with a lot of women, they say that, but when the rubber hits the road and you really want something, and you feel like it's different between having that bond and being that boss, how do you feel? I mean, when you know that you really don't need the person's approval, and you know that you're right, you're right, this is your dream, this is what you're supposed to have. How humbling or how difficult is it to just say, you know what, this is my husband. And there's a reason why, and you may think, and it could even be on ego, you may even think, wow, we're here because of me. I mean, I don't know if that's happening, but I think that when someone makes more, that may be the part of the marriage that you have, but you still, is it challenging for you, or do you know people who it's challenging for when the woman does make more money?
I think, I don't look at it like, I'm leveling up, I'm the boss kind of a thing, making more. That, me personally, now I'm not saying that there aren't people who do, and my decisions wouldn't be made based on, just give me 1 second, please.
Okay, sure. Kurt, are you?
My decision wouldn't be made based on who makes the most, right? It wouldn't be that. It'll be more of what I believe God is leading me towards, right? And hoping that that person would see that, right, and know that about me, and want us to be in alignment, right? However, I know that's not always the case, right? Sometimes, you could still be looking at the numbers as far as the household is concerned, and the numbers are not aligning. But how many of us know that if you're moving in the Spirit of God, many times things are not going to align, right? It's just not. And so in order for God to work a miracle, there needs to be something that's out of whack, right? Like, or it's not a miracle. If I can do it on my own, then it doesn't become a miracle. And so no, I don't think that, or at least for me, again, I don't look at it as, I'm the one who, right? Or because of me. It has to be based on what we as a whole are doing, and not necessarily what I'm doing, right? Again, I'm doing it hopefully for us and with us, not necessarily as this boss. I'm the boss. I'm making, So that wouldn't be a spirit of God anyway. If anyone's like that, that wouldn't be a spirit of God.
All right, and that leads me to a point that some women are single because of that mindset. It's all about that. You can't take a job or a title to bed with you, or go on trips, or have memories with those accolades. So it can be a blessing.
Right.
And so a lot of women lead with that. On the flip side, men lead with that. Men throw their checkbook out, or whatever they have, and